Hi, I'm Trevor, and welcome to Catching Up on Cinema. If you aren't familiar with the program, Catching Up on Cinema is a film analysis podcast wherein we introduce each other to films, expand our cinematic horizons, and, in essence, catch up on our cinema. So it is the month of December. 2021 is once again that very special time of the month wherein we do our very special Tales from the Shelf episode. And in joining me in this endeavor, I have my good buddy Brad from the Cinema Speak podcast. How's it going, Brad?
Oh, it's going great. Glad to be here and ready to talk some Blu-rays. This should be a fun one.
Oh, yeah. It should be a fun one. This is a hastily thrown together episode, but yeah, it's always fun. I mean, as I say, pretty much every time we get together, Brad, it's like this is how we justify our habit. This is how we justify the expense to the people who judge us. It's like bitch! I at least talk about these things at least once a month. I know I don't watch all of them, but at least I'm talking about it and exhibiting passion.
We make it worth it. We make it worth it.
But this is a hastily thrown together episode, so apologies, dear listeners and or viewers. We had to kind of pull this together right quick. So, Brad, would you care to introduce to our audience what the theme for this month's episode will be?
Yeah, it is. What did we decide on? Awesome artwork? Amazing artwork?
Something with an A, an artwork. Yeah. Some alliterative shit.
We're specifically highlighting our Blu-rays, the front cover artwork, and the front cover artwork that just looks real good. So, not necessarily the theatrical poster artwork, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit, but some of them are modeled after the original theatrical poster. Some of them are a brand new commissioned artwork, and sometimes that can look great, sometimes it can be barf worthy, but these are the ones that stand out and they look nice from the front.
Yes. So today we're going to be talking about cover art. The cover, it has nothing to do with the quality of the films themselves, strictly just from an aesthetic standpoint, the cover art for the films featured. And yeah, folks at home, if you're not aware of how a Tales from the Shelf episode works, basically this is just an excuse for Brad and I to peruse our own respective movie collections and just share some war stories about collecting and about movies that are important to us for a variety of reasons. So all the picks that we'll be showing off here in a kind of show and tell format will come from our own personal movie collections. So being as Brad is our esteemed guest, I will do my hosting duty and throw him right under the bus and ask that he present his film first to kick us off in this discussion of amazing artwork or awesome. I'll figure it out when I make the graphic.
Yeah, well, okay, let's see. Jeez, really wasn't expecting this. I'm a little unprepared here. No,
you proposed the idea.
No, I know I always go first, but for some reason I was like, oh shoot, now I gotta pick which one I'm gonna start with. Just
give yourself the Eddie Murphy build-up.
Yeah,
showtime.
All right, let's go with this one now. I'll probably highlight a few different boutique labels, because a lot of specific labels they do when they release a new edition of a film, they give it new artwork, because if you're going to charge that premium price tag, you better at least be giving me a new reversible cover or something. And Scream Factory is one of those labels, or Shout Factory, but Scream Factory more specifically here, they usually put out newly commissioned artwork, and then on the reverse side it's the original theatrical poster or whatever, and honestly gotta say, not the biggest fan of a lot of their artwork. A lot of floating heads, get real tired after a while. I'm gonna go with this one though and highlight it because there might be a trend here with me. You might notice I like a lot of simple, like an aesthetically simple. I don't like anything too cluttered. This one's a little cluttered, I guess, but it's comparatively with the rest of the Scream Factory titles, it's pretty simple, pretty nice. This is the collector's edition of Urban Legend. Now, this artwork, I like it because, first of all, you're highlighting the goods here. You got a great killer with the hood. You got their weapon. This is all you need. You can get rid of all this. This is all you need. You need the killer, you're good. But also, you got, the shattering of the glass. I like that's a nice touch. And also, just like they don't try and pop in every major actor on here, probably because they couldn't get the rights to Jared Leto. I'm sure they couldn't. If they could get Jared Leto's face on this, they would have shoved it in somewhere. But you got the nice little aspect here of, I guess this is going to be interesting in an audio only. Folks, listen on. Check us out on YouTube. This might be one episode you definitely want to check out on YouTube. I didn't think about that when I pitched this idea. But you got the little poster here of the I think like the first woman who dies, and the headline "Lunatic on Campus." You got another newspaper headline down there. You got the great tagline, "It happened to someone who knows someone you know. You're next." That's a good. I don't like the "you're next," but that's a good tagline. It happened to someone who knows someone you know. That's really good. For urban legend, I love that. That's
Jesus,
great.
That's terrible.
I love that for a movie about an urban legend. That's great.
Brad, one more time if you could.
It happened to someone who knows someone you know.
Oh my God. That is a busted ass sentence.
I think it's good. I think it's a little tongue in cheek, but that's the thing. That's the thing with the urban legend. That's the joke of it. Like, they're like, it happened to a guy who knows my cousin. So I think they're leaning into that a little bit.
I know a guy who knows a guy who did a thing back in the day.
Exactly.
Back in the neighborhood.
Yeah. But yeah, I like urban legend a fair bit. Obviously, definitely a Scream ripoff in some ways, but I think it's a fun Scream ripoff, and I enjoy the aspect of watching each kill play out as a classic urban legend. I think is a lot of fun. Of course, all the Leto heads out there. You do got Jared Leto in there. Who else do we got in here? We got Joshua Jackson, Tara Reid. Robert Englund has a small role. Just a stacked cast. You can't beat it. So, yeah, Urban Legend. Nice little collector's edition there from Scream Factory. Not too bad.
Yeah, I like the composition of that cover. It's like you said, it's pretty simple and to the point, but it has very good use of color. There's actually a lot going on, honestly, with the moon and the figure's position. There's some neat angles. It retains the shattering glass cover of the original poster.
You got the house in the corner.
Yes. There's a lot of elements there, but it doesn't feel overly cluttered. I really do like the color and the composition of it. It's a snazzy cover. It kind of reminds me, it's like a more subtle version of their take on the Silver Bullet cover with the like heavy metal werewolf, with the baseball bat or whatever.
Here's a reversible theatrical artwork there for comparison.
Yeah, like I said, it does retain the shattered glass motif of the actual theatrical poster. But you need to remember, as Brad had said, this movie came out in the wake of the Scream phenomenon, and this is where we had a whole slew of just teen faces as cover art for a lot of horror movies. I'm looking at you, Phantoms. I'm looking at you, like any number of movies that came out in the wake of Scream. Basically, it was just like a row of hot people. And then like a minimalist background or something, and Urban Legend certainly falls into that category. But I don't think I've seen Urban Legend, but it had a sequel, right? Like Final Cut, maybe?
Oh yeah, Urban Legend Final Cut, which I believe it takes place at a film school, from what I remember. I have not revisited that one in quite a while, but I definitely want to check that one out. I remember at the time, like when I first saw it, I was younger. Not as big of a fan, but I feel like maybe I would, just with it taking place at a film school, maybe I would get some more like references and jabs that I didn't get the first time around. But I think definitely the first one for sure is worth watching if you're in the mood for just kind of like a trashy 90s slasher that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Well, we have Scream. It's just called Scream, right? Scream 5 on the horizon.
Yeah, for now at least. We'll see if they rebrand it at some point.
Yeah, we'll see. But it seems like the marketing train has left the station for that one. So I don't know. As the hype builds up for that one, maybe you'll find yourself, or maybe I'll find myself wanting for this particular flavor of slasher film, because the Scream was a huge deal in the mid '90s, and it birthed a lot of imitators and whatnot. As far as I understand, like you said. Urban Legend is an exceptional one of the films that came afterwards, but yeah, maybe use it as an excuse to check out Final Cut again in preparation for the new Scream, I guess.
Yeah, and looking forward to the new Scream, and when you start watching those movies, you kind of get a little bit of a hankering for some more. So I don't know. I do like. I'm just a sucker for that kind of genre, whether it's a slasher or a giallo, just the slasher, the murder mystery killer kind of thing. Whether it is a slasher or a giallo, just trying to figure out who it is. I could watch those, whether they're good or bad. There's something about them that just, there's an inherent mystery to them that's a lot of fun to try and figure out.
Yeah, it's a cozy format. It's, in fact, there's a subgenre of murder mystery that is referred to colloquially as a cozy. So it's like, it's only appropriate because it does kind of have that allure to it where it's like you just kind of slip into it. And it's one of those genres, horror in particular, is just one of those genres that seems to be immune to like criticism in certain regards. Because a lot of other genres, like when you spot tropes and things, people are very critical of that, and it's just like, I've seen this shit before. It's like, but in horror, it's like, no, that's kind of why we're here. It's like, it's expected that you'll kind of express reverence or pay homage to that which came before. And yeah, I agree with you. I actually have not really dipped my toes back into that genre in quite some time. But there was a spell like around the time I was in college and had access to their network, their torrent network, the student network. I was just gobbling up like all sorts of horror movies, largely slasher movies and stuff. But it's been a really long time. But every once in a while I get that itch again. So maybe now is the time.
Yeah, and just heads up for anybody in the mood. I haven't watched it, actually, but the making of documentary, the brand new making of documentary on this disc is like over 2 hours long. It's like almost 2.5 hours. So hugely comprehensive making of documentary for all the urban legend heads out there. I gotta check that out.
I mean, I could watch stuff like that like for any movie. Doesn't matter if I have any personal attachment to it. It's just a process that I enjoy taking a look at. I like pulling back the curtain and seeing the actual logistics that went into making the thing that you got.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you and I talked about this at length, but like, are you and I in agreement that we like a comprehensive documentary as opposed to like featurettes?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I hate when I don't hate it, but you pop in a Blu-ray and it's like 15-minute interview with this person, a 15-minute interview with this person. I'm just like, man, just, take them, edit them all together, tell me a story. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like, it's tough to watch one like, it's interesting to hear them talk, but hear the one person just go on without any sort of interruption, it gets a little tiring. I would much rather have interviews stitched together in a making of documentary format.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. But yeah, folks at home, if you have not listened to Brad's podcast, the Cinema Speak podcast, Brad makes liberal use of a soundboard from time to time. And I think I don't know if you have this one already, but tell me a story. I like stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you using that one on your very first YouTube unboxing video, I believe.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, just that always stuck with me. Tell me a story. I like stories.
That's good. Yeah, I should add that to the board. Or see if I can find. There's got to be some filmmaker, some know-it-all filmmaker out there who says that.
I mean, just pour through the David Lynch library. Maybe you'll get lucky and you'll have his curmudgeonly ass spit that one out at some point.
I bet you Jared Leto said that at some point.
Tell me a story. It's like, fuck off! Take your orange hat and get the fuck out of here. Morbius. Brad, are you gonna go see Morbius for the Cinema Speak podcast?
Oh, I mean, absolutely, I will be. I mean, not my decision, but it was basically every major superhero movie that comes out, we go see it and review it. So.
Santino into that one.
Yeah, Santino. Can't remember if he said he's excited about it or not, but he said he's going to see it. So.
If he's excited about it, it's like, dude, I know you're the resident comic guy, but I had my minute as the resident comic guy in my social circle, and I'm sorry. Nobody gives a shit about Morbius. The most cultural footprint that Morbius has ever had in pop culture came in the form of the 90s Spider-Man animated series, wherein he was not allowed to be a vampire that bites people because that's too violent for kids. So he'd absorb not blood, plasma through his palms. He had these little suction cups on his palms.
Interesting.
I think that was Morbius's shining moment in the long history of the character.
Yeah, well, I've got low expectations. Don't you worry.
I mean, I don't know where else to put him when it comes to Morbius. I mean, maybe Michael Keaton will be cool. I mean, they made sure to feature him in the cameo, like in the trailers.
That's
I
right.
would imagine it's not going to be a substantial role, but it's Michael Keaton. He managed to bring it even when working on American Assassin, so I would imagine he can muster up something for Morbius.
And, speaking of American Assassin, it's your next pick for best cover art.
It's most assuredly American Assassin. I don't even remember the cover art for that one.
I think it was pretty bad, isn't it? Isn't it? Like
it's a fart in the wind.
It's just all the characters holding guns.
Yeah, no, I was joking with Brad before we started recording. It's just like it's any number of gruff individuals holding pistols, because it's like probably scientifically proven that your movie will sell better in certain portions of the American film public and Eastern Europe. If you just Photoshop in a pistol to the person's hand, like even if there is no gun in the movie itself, if you put that gun on the cover, sales are going to go up.
It's a selling point.
What are we going to go with here, Brad? So I took it upon myself to kind of categorize a lot of my picks into purely just aesthetically pleasing picks, and ones that are just compelling. From a visual standpoint, it jumps out at you, it makes you want to stop in your tracks and maybe ponder on that one for a second. So I'm going to go with one of the first DVDs I ever bought. It's unfortunately a bootleg, due for an upgrade. But this was an early episode of Catching Up on Cinema, and it is on the dreaded DVD format, which is, of course, not a favorite of Brad's. So sorry about this, but ready your barf bag. So I have here Ryuhei Kitamura's Versus from the year 2000. On the nose, and this is minimalist. I know you're a fan of minimalism.
I like it.
And it's just monochromatic, just black and white. Man with pistol. Again, sales up. Some sort of sword that looks like a katana with a Highlander type hilt, and just simple title, one word, Versus. And that's...
Now, is that real artwork, just on a bootleg DVD, or
this is the official poster art for the film? I've seen Japanese DVDs use the same art. In fact, the back of it is just a scan of the actual slipcase for the film. But yeah, this is about as minimalist as it gets, and it's simple, it's compelling. I even like the font, honestly. The Versus actually looks not half bad. Yeah, this was one of those cases where this movie was a gamble on my part. Not so much a gamble, but I used to frequent a website back in the day called Kung Fu Cult Cinema. Back in the early 2000s, probably when I was in early high school or something. And I was reading reviews for any number of, quote, extreme Japanese films at the time. So this was when Battle Royale was kind of whispered about on the internet, at least over here in the West. And I came across a review for this film, and everything about it sounded right up my 14-year-old alley. I was just yeah, zombies, swords, guns, 2 hours of just people hitting each other in the woods, kind of like I used to do with my friends when I was 14, running around with a mini DV cam and stuff. I was this sounds amazing. This sounds exactly like what I want. And on top of that, it's a Japanese film, and I was kind of, edging towards exploring that part of my heritage and stuff at the time. So yeah, I think I hopped on eBay and I picked up a bootleg copy of it, because a big thing was the regional encoding of discs was something that website actually taught me about.
Oh, wow.
Hey, I'm learning that a lot of cool movies exist that I really want to see, but at the time I didn't have a region-free player. So it took special means to acquire them and whatnot. And so I ended up buying like a fucking terrible, absolutely god-awful player that it would go whenever it was like scanning with the laser. It wouldn't work most of the time. It was like at the time like $100 down the toilet, and for me that was just like, well, I guess that's a whole year of not buying anything. So it's like a total fucking. I just like took a shit on my life of purchasing products for an entire calendar year as a kid.
Yikes!
That sucked. So actually, this very DVD, I was not able to watch in my own home for a couple of years after purchasing it. I had to go to my friend's house, who owned a Japanese PlayStation 2. Which, of course, has DVD playing capabilities. And because it was Japanese, it was Region 2, just like the disc I just showed off. So the first time, and one of the only times I got to watch this particular disc in my youth, came in the form of like sitting in my friend's basement and borrowing his PlayStation. And it was actually kind of cool, because it was the first time I ever got to watch it. And a couple of other people were over, so it was like we all just had like a blind screening of this movie that, you know, his shithead friend Trevor brought over that day. And it ended up being pretty good. We had a lot of fun with it. And the subtitle quality, despite being a bootleg, is actually not half bad. Mm-hmm. The rights to it have since been acquired by Arrow. And they have put out the rights to it have been purchased by multiple groups over the years. There have been numerous Western DVD releases of it. But I think Arrow currently has the rights to it. They put out a DVD and like a super duper Blu-ray edition, which is not grossly overpriced, like by Arrow standards. It's actually not terribly expensive. So someday I will upgrade to that. I don't imagine it's going to look good, though, because this movie is made on the cheap, and I don't imagine any amount of like digital cleanup trickery could fix that just because of what it was shot on. So I don't imagine it's going to be a very handsome disc, but even this bootleg I have has quite a bit of behind-the-scenes features, including like a short film that serves as a prologue to the movie, which was an interesting attachment to it. But yeah, I love this movie. It's not a genuine work of art or anything, but it has a very like Evil Dead 1 kind of feel to it. It has a very like homemade quality to it, where it's just a bunch of people hanging out in the woods making a damn movie. Except they take it a bit further and they actually have some legit talent, so it doesn't turn out to be a complete piece of shit. And in fact, a lot of the people who worked on this thing went on to have pretty significant careers. Yuhei Kitamura had the honor of directing the 50th anniversary Godzilla film, Godzilla Final Wars, which at the time was the highest budget Japanese Godzilla film ever produced. Mm-hmm. It didn't do so hot, and he has he's made forays into the U.S. film market. He's made a couple of horror movies in English, shot with American producers. Earliest and most notable is The Midnight Meat Train.
Oh, that's right.
And he did some movie about it's not like a straight up horror movie, but it's kind of like an isolation thriller where it's like a bunch of teens pulled over on the side of the road, pinned down by a sharpshooter, like in a rural area of the U.S. I don't remember the title for that, but he did that. And also he did everybody's favorite Ruby Rose movie called The Doorman. Man, what happened to her, Brad? Is she not a good person or something? Because I feel like she was, in volleyball terms, they like set her up, and like when someone went up to spike that, they just whiffed real bad. Because like I feel like she was getting so much work for a couple of years there, like around the time of the Meg, and like I think she's in like some other movies of that ilk. Like she was in a lot of big blockbuster movies there for like in the late 2010s, and now she's doing direct-to-video movies and shit.
Yeah, I don't know if she just got overexposed too quickly, or I don't know. I know there was the controversy with her Batgirl TV series, and I don't remember the whole story, but she left after one season, and I don't know if it was something with not being treated well on set, or there was some pay issue. I don't know. There was some reason, I think, why she left. That maybe hurt her. I mean,
I'm just guessing, but maybe she pulled a Megan Fox and she bit the hand that fed her.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it.
Like before she was released from Batwoman, she was talking shit about it or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, that and just you think, even if it's, even if she was left for a good reason, it could have future producers say, well, she left the show after one season. She could leave our movie. Like, she could screw us over kind of thing.
Loyalty is important in certain circles, so I could totally see that. But I just think it's funny, like, she had, like, a Steven Seagal style launch to her career, where it's like, you had everything. Like, you were given the keys to the kingdom, to the Batcave even, and you fucked yourself. How do you fuck that up? But yeah, I haven't seen The Doorman, but anytime this director's name pops up, my ears perk up because, man, from like the year 2000 to like the year 2004, he was like my guy. Like, he was one of my many guys. I have a lot of guys, but he was like one of those directors that I would watch literally anything he made. And then his output slowed, and now it's like, I don't know. He's kind of been floundering. But the big one is the star that's featured on the cover here. This is Tak Sakaguchi, who I don't know if he had any film credits prior to this, but he serves as the protagonist of the film. And like, there's rumor that he like had, I don't know, he had an interesting entry point to the film industry, because I think he was just like a boxer and just like a street fighter. Like, he just like hang out in alleys and like people would place bets and he'd just get in fist fights with people or something. Like, that was the rumor. It's probably partially bullshit, but he wasn't really an actor as far as I understand. But in recent years, like, he threatened retirement, but in recent years he's like become one of the foremost like martial artists and choreographers in the Japanese film industry.
Oh wow.
Like, he's been doing all sorts of special projects like that. I talked about with you a while back that crazy Samurai Musashi movie, where it's like a one take, just hour and a half action movie basically. I mean, the one take portion of the action is actually more like an hour or 45 minutes, but it's him killing people with a sword for like 40 plus minutes with basically no breather. It's very impressive, and he has a YouTube channel called Talk Channel, where he eats food and then he roughhouses with people and conducts choreography and stuff. It's a very interesting combination, but he's a very endearing personality, and it's really interesting to see a guy who was this close to stepping away from things, and now it's like, whoa, he's like really better than he ever was, honestly.
He's thriving. He's living his best life, it sounds like.
I know, it's actually interesting because there's like John Wick 4 right now is maybe my most anticipated on the release calendar. I'm curious, Brad, do you ever do that for your show? Like a most anticipated for maybe your year-end wrap-up or something like that?
We used to. I feel like we didn't do it this past year just because it was like, who knows what the hell's even coming out this year kind of thing.
Well, yeah, the schedule's a little
I know,
nebulous at best.
I want to say we maybe did it at the start of 2020. I can't remember. We used to do it for sure. I think we did. I don't think we did it this past year though.
Well, it can be tricky too because you need to have people involved in the conversation that actually give a shit about things like that. So it's like it can be one of those questions that you're not going to get the best answer to. But it's something I try to keep in the back of my mind. But yeah, John Wick 4 Hagakure, I think is the subtitle they add to it recently, is basically me in a movie, just like everything I could ever ask for. It's like,
it's your
okay,
dream.
We got Keanu shooting people. We got Scott Adkins, who most undoubtedly will shoot some people and kick some people. We got Donnie Yen, who will most assuredly kick some people and shoot some people. I think Hiroyuki Sanada's in there as well. I was hoping Sonny Chiba would make an appearance, but unfortunately he passed away from COVID, I think, prior to production. Because I know I've seen an interview with him and Keanu Reeves where Keanu just fanboyed the fuck out when he walked in the room. It was adorable, much like anything Keanu related. But actually, like Sakaguchi, like in light of his capability, it's like Chad Stahelski is he and his 8711 people. They're like the aces of martial arts choreography in Hollywood. It's like maybe bring him in. Like he's pretty capable. Like I bet he could put some fireworks on screen, and it would be a really thrilling opportunity to have like a clash of styles and talents. But anyway, you have any interest in this movie, Brad?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when it came out from Arrow. I kind of was curious, and I think you had talked. Maybe we had talked about it then or something, but you had kind of recommended it, and I'd be curious to check it out. The Arrow artwork is pretty nice as well.
Yeah.
I have seen Midnight Meat Train, so I've at least seen something from this director. That Downrange movie. It's called Downrange, the sniper one.
Thank you for looking that up.
That looks like it'd be up my alley. I might. And I don't know. The poster I'm looking has Shudder on the poster.
Oh shit!
But it says it's from 2017, so I don't think it would be I don't think Shudder's been around that long. Maybe it has, but.
Yeah, that maybe they have been around that long. That does feel kind of early, but if you end up checking it out, let me know, because I haven't been checking in on him in the past like half decade or so, and I'm curious, because like I said, I used to really like the guy, and he at the very least he usually has like a loud visual style, not like a good visual style, but like his cinematography tends to be creative at the very least. Yeah. So I'd be curious, like if any of that makes an appearance in his American pictures, because Midnight Meat Train was fairly sedate in terms of like the visuals of it. Like there was a lot of interesting color grading and stuff going on, and of course it ends with a fist fight in a horror movie, because that's his thing. That's what he does. but yeah, if you end up watching that Downrange, let me know.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be the month that I unsubscribed from Shudder finally, but I don't know. And I kind of do want to watch that, and it is streaming there, so might be hanging on for at least one more month.
Every time I think I'm out.
Yeah. Last time I tried to cancel, they gave me another free month to keep me on, and I'm wondering if it's been long enough where they would do that again. I don't know, because they probably
fingers crossed, Brad.
They only want to do it once. They don't want you. They're not going to do it every time you try and cancel. But it's like, well, if it's been 2 years since the last time, like I think that's long enough to give me another bump, give me another chance.
Yeah, you can hope. Like, hopefully that works out for you. But that's enough out of me. I said way more than I expected to on that one. Brad, what is your next pick?
All right, I'm gonna do a 3-for-1 here.
Nice. Thank you for taking advantage. Thanks for cheating.
Yeah. Well, these kind of they're all by the same label. And one of them I haven't seen, so I can't really comment on the film too much, but I do need to highlight the artwork, which I think is amazing. Let's just do that one first. Let's start there. So I'm talking some Criterion movies here. Love
Classing
Criterion.
it up.
Yeah, and what I like about Criterion is they're not like these shills at Scream Factory where they think they need new artwork. Sometimes some Criterion releases, they just take the poster. Sometimes the poster, they know you can't beat it. It's iconic. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go with. So I appreciate that. I appreciate when they know when a poster artwork is good enough, just go with it. And they also know when, tweak it a little bit or to just do something totally new. So, I mean, in terms of labels, artwork, they might be the experts, I gotta say. This release, I actually don't know if it was an image when the film was released or it's new for this Criterion Blu-ray, but I think it is great. And it's for the film The Vanishing. And this is from 1988, and it's some foreign film. I don't know what country or what language. I haven't watched it, but I do know there was an American remake. But what I love about this is, I don't know how well this is translating over camera, but it's all dots. And the dots form a face. I don't know if you can tell that very well. But it's the kind of thing where if you're looking real close, like if you have it like right up here and you're looking at it, the dots just all it just looks like dots. There's no image. But the further away the artwork is from you, the clearer the face becomes, which I love. I think that's so creative. I don't know whose face that is. I don't know if it's symbolic of anything. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. But that is a great piece of artwork. That's enough to sell the Blu-ray right there. That is genius. I love that. I can't wait to watch this and find out who she is. I'm guessing she's the one that went missing. I'm guessing. I don't know. But, what else is there to say? I mean, there's only 2 interviews on here. I mean, come on, there's barely anything on this disc, but all you need is that artwork. Great stuff. Are you familiar with this film?
I'm not, but I'm trying to look it up right now, and there are far too many films with the title Vanishing, by the way.
Yeah, I think the American remake had Jeff Daniels and Kiefer Sutherland, potentially. Is that right?
I mean, that could be the case. There's also a Gerard Butler movie from 2018. There's also a 1993 film with Jeff Bridges.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Did I say Jeff Bridges? Or did I say Jeff
Kiefer
Daniels?
Sutherland's in there as well.
That's what I'm thinking of.
And it looks like it's based on a film by Tim Crabe, who is, Dutch. It is a Dutch film.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it looks like the original. It's based on a book, actually. Oh, so it's an adaptation of an adaptation.
Very interesting.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right, though. That cover is quite lovely. It's super minimalist, but like you said, it doesn't translate so great on camera, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But if I squint, I can make it out. And if you pull up like a JPEG of it on your browser, look it up, folks. It's quite handsome. I even like the color arrangement of it, where it's like it's very pleasing to the eye.
Yep. My next criterion, this is another simple one. This one, I think, is a nice improvement over the theatrical poster, which I'm not a big fan of. And this is for an early Danny Boyle joint. We're talking Shallow Grave, which might have been his first movie. I'm not totally sure. But I just love just the hammers, the title there. It's very striking. It's intriguing. You kind of know you're going to be in for something violent, but you don't really know what. And of course, you've got the actors listed there as a little bit of a selling point. But this is kind of one of my go-to movies in the genre of somebody commits a crime and they're not criminals, but they commit a crime and they do it out of greed and try and get away with it. I call it crime gone awry, and just how it all starts to spiral out of control. This is a real good example of that. Not like the best in that genre. I think Sam Raimi's A Simple Plan is even better. There's a few other key ones, but this is a real solid I guess I shouldn't say debut. I'm not totally. Yeah, first film from Danny Boyle. It's a real solid debut, and that artwork with the hammer is just. I think this was one of my earliest Criterion Blu-rays, and that artwork could very well be the reason why. I really dig that.
I mean, that's why I said I set aside some picks purely based on, is it like a compelling image? And most certainly, yeah. It's like you walk by that and it's like, that's an awful lot of hammers. It's like I wonder what happens in that movie. I wonder how those hammers come into play.
I don't totally know even if they use any hammers. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure they must.
Okay,
but...
I might have a problem with that if that's the case. like if they promise me hammers, like if you had a Criterion release of Old Boy or something that just had a hammer, or like a, I don't know, like an octopus or something, or something like that. Like that, that works for me. But if you can't place what the image is evocative of within the film itself, there might be a problem there. There might be some misguided direction in terms of.
It's been a while since I've seen it. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, the main thing is that they dispose of a body, and I don't think you'd really. Maybe I don't know.
That's what I use to dig a hole, Brad.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking, do they do something where they like smash the body with a hammer? I'm sure there's got to be a hammer in here. Like the folks at Criterion aren't that off the wall. They're not that wacky. So, but yeah, it's a good one. And finally, I'll just mention another one here, which is pretty minimalist, but it's real simple, and it tells you everything you need to know about the movie. And that is, I might have highlighted this movie on here before, I don't know, but it is Rafi.
Oh, yeah.
Which is you tell me what this is about, Trevor. Tell me what it's about.
It's
the one-sentence synopsis.
It's a heist.
What are they stealing?
Yeah, he's stealing shit.
Yeah, I mean, what specifically? I mean, come on, it's right there.
He's stealing elephant. I think a hamburger. Yeah, it's a diamond or a diamond ring.
Yes, yeah. They're stealing jewelry. And you even got there's the main iconic sequence is when they lower down into a jewelry store from the second level, and so you got that in there. It's just real nice, real simple. I like the blue with the sort of yellow orangish font there at the bottom. Although I gotta say, let me pull it up here. I mentioned this movie in a recent not recent, but in a YouTube video I did. Somebody did a comment with a potential major plot hole in this movie, and may have potentially ruined the movie forever for me. Let's see. I'll see if I can pull it up here. But you haven't seen Rafifi?
I have not, but it's still on my radar because you had brought it up in a conversation a long time ago, and I've never forgotten about it. It does sound like a lovely film. Like it sounds like it has a lot going for it, and that cover is beautiful. Like it's very simple, and like you said, it references so many actual elements in the film itself. But like again, I can't emphasize enough. Color arrangement's very important. I like the choice of color, and the font is very strong as well. It's not distracting. It has the right shape. Everything jumps out on that cover. It's very well executed.
Yeah, the plot hole with Rafifi, not really a plot hole, but basically, so they have to break into the jewelry store through the apartment that's above it, and somebody commented on my video. They said there's a furnished apartment upstairs where they break in from. The sound-sensitive alarm can't work up there, or no one could live there. So until they are broken or breaking through, why are they being so quiet? Well, yeah, it's a fair point, I guess. It's a fair point.
That is a fair point.
They are being quiet the whole time they're up there. But, you can overlook that. That's minor. That's small potatoes in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, it can be fun to nitpick movies. It can be fun to dissect them into oblivion. But every once in a while, it's in your best interest to just shut up.
Yeah.
Just shut up.
Also, we got to mention with Criterion, just the iconic branding of the C, the year, Criterion Collection. I mean, real simple but real nice. That's a nice touch.
I mean, they do have one of the strongest and most consistent brands in physical media distribution. Like
they do.
They're the old hat at this point, but like they're here to stay. Like they're the damn Yankees of DVD and Blu-ray distribution.
Yeah. Well, even the Yankees lose sometimes, though. That Citizen Kane fiasco really knocked them down. Brought them down to earth. Let's just say that.
Yeah. They made God bleed. Those are all awesome picks, though. Like I have not seen any of those films, but I'm sure, as we tend to say here on the show, if it's part of the Criterion Collection, is more than likely worth your time, and I don't doubt that at all. In fact, Rafifi should be a movie that I check out very soon because you've talked about it enough that it's like, man, I should just cross that off the list so like Brad can stop bringing it up.
Well, don't beat yourself up too much for not having seen any of those. I own all three of them, and I still haven't seen one of them. So I mean, that could be worse. The fact that I haven't seen one of them.
Well, as I said, Brad, at the top of the show, this is why we do the show is to make it okay that you haven't watched it yet. It's like this justifies the expense. This justifies its inclusion in your personal collection. But
exactly.
All awesome picks, though, Brad. Very, very awesome to look at for sure. But what am I gonna pick next? It is most assuredly not going to be a Criterion because I don't actually have a whole lot of those. So I'm gonna throw three back at you, and they're of similar. They have similar connective tissue. Two different studios, but the same genre at the very least. So these are all actual official Japanese DVDs. So these are Region 2, and as I've disclosed previously on the show, my ex-girlfriend absconded with my multi-region player, so I have not had the means to watch any of these in quite some time.
Yeah,
But part of the fun of these releases is that, man, Japanese distributors, just Japanese culture in general, is very aesthetic oriented, and when it comes to cover art and things like that, they try real hard, and they very seldom miss. So I'm gonna see your minimalism and raise you some loud ash orange and blues.
Okay.
So I have here the Ultraman Mobius movie, which is Ultraman Mobius and the Ultra Brothers.
I'm digging it.
Yeah, compositionally, it's basically all you could hope for in like a children's superhero movie. And then I also have the like Ultra, like I forget the full title of it, but it's like Mega Monster Battle Ultra Legend, and this is Ultraman Zero and Ultraman Belial facing off. And this is what I was talking about, the orange and blue effect that was all in vogue around the time of the release of this film. It's massively cluttered, but not ugly, if you ask me.
No.
And compositionally, it's pretty well put together. Like, if you were a little kid and you saw a poster of this, Brad, you'd probably want to see that.
Yeah, that is sexy, other than the DVD logo in the corner.
Well, speaking of sexy, heterosexual male speaking here, but I have here a Kamen Rider, The Next, featuring some hot guys. And a man on fire who seems perfectly okay with being on fire.
Yeah.
So this movie's directed by, I think, a porn director. It was very shocking. I think I looked it up on IMDb, and like all of his credits are just like softcore porn. And then he made this. It's like that's a weird left turn in his filmography, but everybody's got to start somewhere. But
interesting. What's the director's name?
He's a Japanese fellow. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but I think he did like some Kekko Kamen movies or something, which is basically like a superhero movie with a woman running around wearing a mask and very little else. But this is derived from a children's show. Oh, which is, it's only appropriate that you have a guy with a porn history at the helm of your children's television franchise.
Interesting choice there.
Very interesting choice. But,
I just asked what his name was because I was going to make the goof, the gag. When you said his name, I'd be, I'm familiar with his work.
Well, sorry, I couldn't spike that particular ball.
It's all right.
I set you up. I fucked it up. I'm sorry. But yeah, these are all official Japanese DVDs. So as I said, they are Region 2. And let me actually check inside, because another thing that Japanese distributors are often big on is including little goodies, like little trinkets and bonuses and stuff. In this case, we've got a unfoldable, basically like a promo package that has details of all the characters and settings and whatnot, and like some of the details about. These are details. Yeah, this one. These are details about the thesis behind the actual production. Basically, they're like trying to take Ultraman, which is traditionally, cheap children's entertainment, sci-fi television. This is a theatrical production. They were trying to elevate it. So they actually brought in CGI artists from America to do the special effects for it. They brought in top-notch choreographers to work on it. So they have a list of 5 points of things that they were trying to achieve over the course of elevating Ultraman's space in the film industry. And this one just has some flyers for Kamen Rider merch. I actually did not pull one off the shelf. It's another Kamen Rider movie, Kamen Rider Kabuto, that has dog tags. It comes with a little metallic dog tag inside the DVD case. But yeah, when it comes to packaging, man, Japanese stuff, it's always pricey, but they give. They are not shy about giving you little goodies and whatnot. But all these movies are pretty fun, honestly. With the exception of this guy, the other two are they're most assuredly children's entertainment. It's not highbrow stuff. It's just action beat to action beat, very little characterization, just the equivalent of spilling your toy chest on the floor and just like smashing all your GI Joes into all your Transformers. It delivers on that front, and also like from a special effects standpoint, like I said, they actually spared no expense for a change, which is very rare in Japanese cinema. Like Japanese cinema is traditionally produced on the cheap, and these are too, but it's high effort by their standards. This one is a mess. Like, it is a total shitstorm of a movie. Like, it has this weird plot convention where they're telling a superhero story based on like 30, 40 years of established franchise lore and stuff, but parallel to that, like occupying like roughly 50% of the screen time of the movie is a Japanese horror movie. Just they cut to it every once in a while, where it's like the equivalent of like a Ju-on or like The Ring or Dark Water or something. It's about a pop idol who got set on fire and turned into a monster. It's like, how did these connect? Like, it doesn't. It's like,
really?
I mean, porn guy. Like, he's not exactly the most adept at storytelling, but thankfully, the last like 10, 15 minutes of it features some really awesome martial arts choreography and really incredible costume design, actually. Like, you can only see a little bit of it on the cover here. But the way they revamped the character designs for Kamen Rider and all the other Kamen Rider monsters and stuff, it's really cool. Like there's a character named Scissors Jaguar, who is basically the primary antagonist of it, and Chainsaw Lizard. And they have this like leather biker gear aesthetic going for it. So try to imagine like a person wearing like biker gear that's also meant to be evocative of a chainsaw lizard. And it actually is quite stunning to look at. That's largely why I was interested in the movie. It was just like the costume design really jumped out at me. But it is total fucking shitstorm of a story. Like, the narrative is just completely fucking busted.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. It was the second movie in an attempted like franchise, and they dumped it right after this one for obvious reasons.
Now, what was the name of that one?
Kamen Rider: The Next.
And you said that one was a mess?
Oh, yeah. And the one prior to it was Kamen Rider: The First. So it's only natural that The Next comes after The First.
Well, the director of that one, they've made some messes on some of his other films, if you know what I'm saying.
See, I don't have a soundboard, folks. That's for Brad and his Cinema Speak podcast. So if you need that, you know where to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about all I had to say about those.
Nice. Now, like, I know you said because at least two of those were children's films. Are those movies you watched as a child, or?
No, actually, I had a period in college when I was really interested in this. That was kind of where it was crystallizing in my mind, like the things that I really enjoy about film, and a lot of that was like me being honest with myself and being like, you know, acting and narrative is fun, but honestly, the thing I enjoy watching the most is stunt work and martial arts choreography and things like that. And so I went back to things. I found myself like going back to things that I grew up with, like Ultraman. I did actually watch when I was a little kid. I watched one of the worst series of Ultraman when I was a kid, but I didn't know that because I was a little kid. I find that that's the case with a lot of things I grew up with, like calling back to Santino and Morbius. Comic books in the 90s were fucking trash. Yeah. But that's what I had, and that's what I liked. And so now I have all this nostalgia for stuff that is objectively terrible. And I can acknowledge that. I can be honest about that now. But I didn't know any better at the time. And same with Ultraman. I grew up watching the Australian spin-off of Ultraman that was produced on the cheap and looked like total dog shit. But again, I didn't know any better, so that was my Ultraman growing up. But yeah, in college, I was thought about it, and I was like, what combines a lot of the things I like? It's like, well, I was raised on Godzilla. I kind of liked Ultraman, and tokusatsu is like a whole subgenre in Japanese television and film that largely consists of stunt people wearing costumes with no RoboCop mouth windows. And so it comes down to like pantomime acting, where it's a lot of posing, it's a lot of postures, it's a lot of martial arts and movement. It's a lot of body language acting. So I found myself revisiting a lot of that and getting really into just like watching that and being very honest with myself that this is trash children's entertainment. Like, this is not highbrow shit. This is not stuff that you invite a girl over to watch with you. No, you introduce that way down the line, like years after you guys have been together. Like, you don't spring that on them on like date number 2 or 3. You
That's
save
a
that
skeleton
for years.
you got to keep in the closet for a while.
Yes, Brad. I understand this. That I was being honest with myself, but at the same time, it's like I really do enjoy this stuff just because I like the movement aspect of it. I like the body language stuff, and so I just checked it out. I was like, what's going on now? Like, what's Ultraman like now? So in college, I was actually like watching like parallel to the actual Japanese broadcast. I was taking advantage of that college torrent network and pirating a bunch of fucking Ultraman and Kamen Rider, and it was great. I got really into it, and I find myself much like Gundam or something. I just like I call it checking what the kids are up to. Like I still haven't watched it, but I'm curious about that kind of recent Power Rangers movie. It's not recent anymore, but when I saw that marketed, I was like, I wonder what producers think the kids want these days, because it's clearly not the same Power Rangers as like 1995 or 93 or whenever that came out. Like, it's not my Power Rangers. It's not meant to be my Power Rangers, but I'm still kind of curious, like what it's turned into now. These were contemporary with when I was in college, basically.
Yeah. I think I actually watched that Australian Ultraman series as well. It was called Ultramate, right?
Ultramate. G'day, Ultraman. The subtitle for it was Ultraman Towards the Future, and it had environmental themes because Australian and because 90s. That's what was in vogue at the time. And I think there were only like 10 episodes or some shit. And like all the monster costuming and all the miniature work, because it was like the B team, not even the B team, it was like the C team. Because like in the Japanese film industry, they have like decades of history building all this shit. Like they have this down to a science. The Aussies, they don't know shit about this stuff, so they're just making it up as they go. And it looked like Ultraman is typically like a rubberized kind of like almost like a diving suit. Like it has a matte finish to it. It looks pretty classy. Like, see what I'm talking about here, Brad? Like, see how he's like he has that smooth body look to him. He has that smooth, toneless baby body look to him. Ultraman Towards the Future was a little paunchy, and he had like fucking spandex, so you could see every little lump and every roll in him, and he didn't move very well, and the monsters looked like shit, and the special effects, like the optical effects and stuff, were again from the C team, so none of it looked good. But you better believe I had that Super Nintendo game and all the toys and shit. But yeah, it is not easy to look back on. Actually, it is kind of fun to look back on now, because like, wow, this is bad. But again, I didn't know. How could I have known?
Hey, I think you're gonna have to cut this out. I think that Ultraman series was better than a kick up the backside. Nope, done. I just looked up Australian expressions. No.
Okay, I will cut that out for you, Brad.
No, I mean you can leave it in.
Yeah, it's just, okay. In that case, it's staying in. I think we have a few Australian listeners. Maybe they'll get a kick out of that. I'm sorry for shitting on your Ultraman for the past 10 minutes.
I don't think they'll listen if they're offended on it based on that.
Yeah, see, nobody cares.
Yeah,
it's cat. Okay, Brad, that's enough Ultraman. Enough men in rubber suits fighting each other.
All right, let's do another. I last time I did a 3-for-1. Let's do another 3-for-1. Why not? Who cares? I guess although this one's a bit of a 1-for-3. And this one is a Vinegar Syndrome release, which Vinegar Syndrome, I would say, they're pretty consistent with their artwork. Usually they have pretty good artwork. They got a few duds, usually nothing too bad. But I like this one a lot, and I've told you about this set. You're probably sick of this, but I don't think I've ever brought it up on here. And it is the Homegrown Horrors Volume 1 set, which comes with 3 movies, and each of them are represented here on the box set. And then you've got the 3 movies there on the spine. I don't know. I think that's a nice way to split up the cover. I like that it's actually like designated with 3 different movies. It's not like 3 images jumbled together. Like, Trevor, you want to see this, but a version done not good at all? Look up their televised Terror box set. The artwork on that is atrocious. I mean, the box on that one still is pretty good because like when you lift it up, it says like something like please rewind, or no, it wouldn't be rewind. I don't know, like losing signal. I don't know, but that part's cool. But the actual artwork on the front is bad. It's gross.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Is that like that kid looks like Elijah Wood with a bowl cut or some shit?
It is him.
It is him. Okay.
It is him.
Elijah Wood or not, that is not good.
Yeah, it's a stinker.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just like they set the bar pretty high with a lot of their releases. So like speaking from that perspective, that is they did not spare no expense.
Yeah, but this one is done by the Dude Designs, and some of his stuff, like some of his artwork, like, you know, I'm a big Minimalist fan. His stuff can be a little much sometimes, but I like them all here. Like here you got the look of Fatal Exam. Just feels very light. Is there even a disc in here?
Yeah.
Okay, thank God.
It's like it's a little late to complain about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was in there at some point. I've actually watched it, but I mean, I'm like, oh shoot, did I misplace this? And we got Beyond Dream's Door right there, and we have Winter Beast, which I like this one because the more you look at it, you kind of like. I didn't notice that he was actually ripping somebody's head off there. If you can kind of.
Oh, fucking sweet.
Yeah, it took me a little while. It wasn't until I watched the movie that I actually was like, oh, that's when he rips that guy's head off. So yeah, this Homegrown horror set, all regionally made, low-budget horror films. I think they're all from the 80s, or maybe late 80s, early 90s. Actually, it might all be from the early 90s. But anyway, you know, all kind of from that era. And all very low budget, obviously, but there's a lot of charm to them each. And I kind of enjoyed all of them. I know from what I read, everyone said Fatal Exam is the stinker of the bunch. And it does lose points because it is the longest. It is close to 2 hours. But it's actually got a lot of cool elements to it that I like. And it was kind of the one that's kind of the most grounded, I guess. So, you know, the other ones, you've got some real low-budget special effects stuff going on, which is cool. Like, Winter Beast has the stop-motion animation, which is a lot of fun to watch. And then Beyond Dream's Door, I would probably say is, like, the most competently made of the bunch, like, for its, what I'm assuming is its budget, and I believe that one is, like, an Ohio-made film. It looks great, and, it, you know, there's some interesting camera work there where it actually feels like you're kind of watching, like, you know, a legit, you know, studio-backed horror film from back in the day. But they all have their charms. There's lots of bonus features on this set. And I love the box. Like, Vinegar Syndrome, their box sets are just amazing. Whether the artwork is good or bad, they have such great box sets. And I don't know if I don't think I ordered any box sets in my upcoming Black Friday order. But next time, baby, next time.
Very nice. I'm glad you used this opportunity to show that one off, because like when I saw that one on Brad's YouTube channel, I was very impressed with the package of that. And also, folks at home, like if you're watching the YouTube version, the streaks, like the scars sliced into the box, they're of a different material, right? Like it has like a fuzzy quality to it or something.
No, they're just made to look like that. There is like a little bit of some like embossing on the image here. Like the Homegrown horrors,
very
slightly
nice.
The
Very
letters
nice.
are slightly raised, but no, the scratches are just kind of made to look like that. But yeah, like the font has got a little, it's a little bit of a different material up there on the edge. You know, there you can feel the difference there.
Very cool. So there is one other special feature of that box, Brad, that I would very much appreciate if you could demonstrate to the viewers at home and listeners as well. In this case, could you please give me some open and close action, some in-out on that?
I don't know if you can hear it, but it's coming through on my end.
Oh! Oh, oh.
Yeah, real nice.
That's some good in out action on that cover.
Just feels good. Just feels good.
It just feels good. I could totally see you just like sitting on the couch watching an unrelated movie. Just
Honestly, I don't know what that like. Is there like a word for that tick? But I do like shit like that all the time. Like I'll be sitting there
like,
playing with like the back of the remote kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, the kids these days are fucking perverts. Like each and every one of them, Brad. Like it baffles me how many subcategories and subgenres there are for things. Like everybody's so obsessed with categorization, such that we have things like ASMR now, or it's just like somebody put a label on it and like collated it in some way that's like, oh no, it's a thing now. It's like I would not be surprised if there is some sort of form of stimulation with a title and a label and everything that just involves opening and closing a thing, or like finagling a what's it. Because I know what you mean about opening and closing the battery compartment on like a remote. I still do that. Like I don't know what it is, but I do that shit too.
There's something oddly satisfying about it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, satisfying is the word. But very handsome package. I was actually really interested in Winter Beast because, like you said, I did watch like not a full blown trailer, but I just saw like a clip of it, and I saw the stop motion, and I'm a sucker for that. I absolutely love that stuff. I'm still trying to find a way to watch Phil Tippett's movie. I forget the name of it, but it's been this like decades long gestating like stop motion Patreon backed like stop motion production from one of the masters of stop motion, and it looks fucking awesome, but I don't know how to get it. And it's kind of pissing me off because I'm trying my best to not forget about it because it seems like something that would be really awesome for me in particular. I just don't know how to get it because like if you go to the website, it's like, okay, it's available. Here's my money. Can I have it? It's like, nope. It's like, oh, well, fuck you too. Phil Tippett.
Just try like getting his email or something and emailing.
Dear Phil, I would very much like to see your stop motion movie. Here's some money. Oh, but that's cool. Vinegar Syndrome always does great work, and that is one of the most handsome packages I've seen that they've put out in recent years. So I'm glad you actually took it upon yourself to watch those like almost right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one because it just came out earlier this year, and it would have been on sale this past Black Friday sale, but I bought it during the halfway to Black Friday sale when it actually wasn't even on sale. But I was like, I couldn't wait. I had to pop on it, and I'm glad I did.
Very nice. Okay, well, I suppose the ball is to me. So, it's not a Vinegar Syndrome release, but it's horror related. So you had your Homegrown horror. So I will follow that up with a pair, soon to be a trio. I have no idea when it'll actually be released, but there will be a trio eventually of horror documentaries, and so these would be the In Search of Darkness Blu-rays.
Yes.
So this is the first one, and this is like a 4-hour documentary exploring 80s horror films, and then we have here, complete with slipcover, In Search of Darkness Part 2. Which is
I like that.
Quite ambitious. Like that is stunning cover art, if you ask me. Like the first one is solid for sure, but you can tell that a lot of the elements in it are directly lifted from source material.
Yeah.
And then it has the kind of like overplayed like Tron like laser thing that accompanies everything synthwave or 80s oriented.
Yeah.
But this one is totally original and it's stunning. Like
that's good.
It is a work of art, if you ask me. But let me see if it's actually the same on the disc itself. But yeah, these were 4-hour documentaries a piece, and they actually have a third one that I paid into, so I'll also be getting the Blu-ray for that. But like I said, I don't know when I'll actually get the disc, but it should be of comparable length and depth. I was impressed with the other two. They're nice, but I don't know that I would consider them to be of the same standard of quality as the Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th documentaries that are also of comparable length. those are very comprehensive in ways that these can't be, because these are exploring an entire decade's worth of a genre. So it's like there's a reason they're making 3 of them, is because there's unlimited horror movies, like even beyond a decade, like just within a year. There's too much shit to talk about. Whereas just exploring a singular franchise, I feel that those were better equipped to be more comprehensive. And I think it says a lot that I've watched both of those documentaries multiple times.
Wow, really? Yeah, that definitely says something.
That's quite the fucking sit. 4 hours apiece. Oh shit, that's right. I fucking forgot. So, In Search of Darkness Part 2. This is the slipcover.
Yeah.
The actual cover, for me personally, I had a choice in the matter, is the Cinemassacre edition, which is, of course, featuring webcams are hard, Brad. James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd himself. Who is... I own his movie. I got it autographed. Long been a fan of this guy. And what's always been really interesting about him in particular is that he kind of... Like, the YouTube thing, the angry video game nerd thing, was a choice made by the audience. Like, that was a thing that he did for fun, and it just took off, and it became so wildly popular that it's like, I guess I'm that guy now. Mm-hmm. But, like, his true passion is mostly this stuff. Like, it's mostly, like, not just horror, but, like, the history of horror. Like, in casual conversations and in interviews, he talks at length about, like, the silent era of horror films and the Universal era of, like, monster movies and stuff. Like, he's, like, borderline film historian when it comes to the genre. And, in fact, like, his own movies, there's a reason why his production company is called Cinemassacre, is because his actual passion when it comes to film lies in the horror genre. So I think it's really neat that they tapped him for some interviews for this, because I've sent you videos of his basement, Brad. Like the man knows a thing or two about a thing or two. But yeah, I totally forgot about that. I did watch this. I did watch both of these, but it's been a long time, obviously, since I opened this up. But I'm very excited to check out the third one. I think there's going to be, like, diminished returns when it comes to that third one. Because it's inevitable. I mean, the first one is the one that hit all the major films from the 80s. The second one was the one that covered The Leftovers, and then the third one, I think the theme is, like, direct-to-video horror. Which could unearth some, like, hidden gems. But in terms of, like, the big ones, in terms of, like, talking about the ones people generally get excited about, I think they're already tapped out on that front. But who knows? Maybe they'll uncover some stuff that I can get excited about. But yeah. They're all expensive because you have to, like, pay into the Patreon or whatever. They give you lots of freebies though. Like, I got some pins and some posters out of it as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was very impressed with these. And also the covers aren't half bad as well.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, I would like to watch these at some point as well. I honestly, I don't know. I see what you're saying, where diminished returns kind of thing, but could potentially be, like, the first one hitting the heavy hitters. I'm sure it's good, but it could be a little obvious, especially if you're somebody who knows those films to a certain degree already. Whereas when you start to get to the really bottom of the barrel, the direct-to-video stuff, and, like, a 4-hour documentary about those, like, you could learn some real interesting stuff and, like, find some films that maybe you never even heard of. Like, there could be some pretty unique ways to take that. But I do agree that in terms of the interest level, just the first one obviously has those iconic films that are just inherently going to be a little more, I guess, grabbing. They're gonna grab you a little harder, I guess.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right though. Like, there could be some really cool shit waiting for us in that third one. Because, like I said, the amount of horror films that come out within even a single calendar year is staggering, like, let alone an entire decade. So I'm sure there's a lot out there to talk about. But I will point out, Brad, in case you're interested in picking either of these up, the second one puts a special focus on international horror and has, like, quite a bit of time devoted to talking about giallo films. And not just giallo, but Italian horror in general. That could be fun for you in particular.
I do love Italian horror.
I know you do.
Italian horror.
Sploosh.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Yeah, those are some good picks, and I do like those artworks. So,
all right. Well, ball is to you, sir. What you got next?
All right. Well, right before we started recording, or I don't think we'd started yet, I grabbed something off the shelf, and I said this could be my controversial choice. This is a choice out of left field, and I mean, some people could look at this artwork, this cover, and think it's gross. I can understand that, but there's something about it that just works, and I'll tell you why. It's the consistency. Let me actually grab another one so we can have two examples. Let's grab this one right here. Okay, so I'm highlighting the individual Blu-ray releases of the James Bond films.
Oh shit!
Do not have, theatrical poster. I love how these are just a still image from the movie, the white bottom with the title, with, I believe, the font. When you get all these together, like, that makes they look so, like, just if you have one of these, it's kind of like, what? This looks like crap. This sucks. But when you have every single one together and they stick to that, it's like, when you do something bad once, like you go on stage and you bomb, like you're a comic and you go on stage and you bomb, well, then that sucks. But if you go up and you bomb again and again and again, you bomb every night, eventually that becomes your bit, that becomes your gag. And this one, you own 3 of these, it kind of looks lame, sucks. But when you got them all and they hold to that consistency, and they've got the spines, just the black with the white title, I think it is nice. I would much rather have this than a new commissioned artwork, like with something that might look aesthetically better on its own, but not matching up with every single other film in the Bond franchise. I love this. Even the backs are all the same. I mean, this is just. This gets the consistency award right here. The only place where they lose it is, I don't remember where they stopped. I think you can get Casino Royale like this. I think Quantum of Solace. And I think that might be the last one, which is a bummer because, like, obviously I'll be picking up No Time to Die on 4K. But, would I also potentially buy the $10 Blu-ray disc if it was set up just like this? I probably would. Actually, there's no probably about it. I would 100% would. If they put out all the Daniel Craig films like this, I 100% would buy them like that, because these are cheap. These are dirt cheap. I love these are great. I love these. Beautiful.
Oh, thanks for sharing that, Brett. I actually hadn't seen that particular style of cover art for the Bond movies, but yeah. I could totally see, like, if you did have every single Bond movie, like, and lay it out end to end facing outward, like lining a portion of the wall or something, like just lengthwise. I think that would be really striking. It would look really awesome. It's curious though, because like the arrangement, like the composition is very consistent, but the fonts aren't. Like, they maintain the logo design for each of the individual films. So, like, in terms of, like, if you look at just the spines or just the covers, just the white portion of the covers, it's, like, going to be radically different from film to film. But at least the layout is very consistent. But I'm glad you pointed these out, because the Daniel Craig movies, like, each and every one of them look like total fucking shit.
They're
like,
gross.
Dog shit.
They're gross.
All of his movies. Like, I hate to say it, but like I tend to be fairly kind to Quantum of Solace. I don't think it's a good movie by any means, but I don't think it should be shat on as badly as it has been. Like, I want to say that might be the best cover of Craig's tenure, honestly. Just him and Olga Kurylenko looking all dirty in the smoke, like in the desert or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that one's okay. And Casino Royale has multiple covers some of which look better than others. The one with him on the steps and with there's like a figure in the background. That one, at least the color of it looks all right, but it's fairly bland. Skyfall is like incomprehensible. It's just like the pose they have him in. It's just like, what's going on? Like, is he like sliding down a sandy hill and shooting at people? Like, what the fuck is that? And then Spectre again. It's just him like doing that. And then I don't know who decided the skull mask needed to be a huge part of the marketing for that movie. I know that was very confusing for a lot of people because it's featured very prominently in the marketing for that film. It's like the first 5 minutes, if that. It's like he walks while wearing that mask. He doesn't even do anything while wearing that mask. And then even the cover for No Time to Die, I've seen the advanced like review copies of it, and it's just like it's like he's doing the Bigfoot pose or whatever. Like, I don't know what the fuck went wrong with the design department when it comes to Daniel Craig's Bond movies, but I haven't been happy with the covers for any of them.
Yeah, very uninspired, and that's the thing, very uninspired, but it seems like they almost tried, which is that's the issue here with these. It's so great because in some ways it doesn't even seem like they tried, and that's the genius of it. It's just like what should we make our Bond covers look like? Just, I don't know, I'll take a random image from the movie, put the title on a white background underneath. You're good. You're done. And it's like, wow, it's pretty lazy, but genius. It's genius. And some of the like the images they choose, you think like, okay, we're gonna pick an iconic image from this movie. Like, the Goldfinger one, yeah, that's probably what you would go with right there, of course. But like, I don't know. I mean, this scene is not what I think of in Live and Let Die.
No, and Roger Moore looks airbrushed to shit in that shot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's radically inconsistent in what stills they pick there, because like, yeah, that's just like Pierce Brosnan at the archives or whatever in GoldenEye. And like, sometimes he's in bed shirtless, sometimes he's hanging out with dead chicks. That's what I want on the cover of my fucking Bond movie. Bond stroking the ass of a dead woman. Mm-hmm. It's like, yep. We don't need Oddjob. We don't need Goldfinger. We don't need Pussy Galore. It's like, nope, we need a dead chick on the cover. That's how we'll sell this.
Yeah. I mean, it's some odd choices at times. I think I won't grab it, but I think like the Octopussy cover is another weird one. But I love it. I love these.
Not to put you on the spot too harshly here, Brad, but I'm curious if you can think of like an official Bond poster that jumps out at you that you happen to like or anything.
Boy, I'm trying to think. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I mean that's an honest answer. I mean, honestly, the only ones that like really come to mind off the top of my head are a lot of the Pierce Brosnan ones, none of which I think are very good, so I'm not going to cite those, but I at least remember those. And then, of course, most of these movies came out before you and I were born, so it's not exactly going to be crystallized in our brains. But I think it was For Your Eyes Only is the one with the lady's butt. It's like the camera's between her legs. That one.
Oh, yep.
Compositionally, I mean, it's... God damn it, Brad. I hate it when I do this. It's cheeky composition. But it's
pretty good.
And then the Octopussy one is like the multi-armed woman like hugging him from behind and stuff. Like, I don't think that's particularly good, but I at least remember that one. But yeah, for Your Eyes Only, I do remember that one being kind of cute at the very least.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. I think I'm trying to pull it up now. Let me pull it up so I don't embarrass myself. Yeah, the one Live and Let Die. That one's not bad because it's the women and like a couple of the henchmen on the cards behind him, like they're fanned out like a deck of, are they like tarot cards or something in the movie? I don't even know. But,
some voodoo fucking magic, man.
Yeah. That one's pretty good, and you got the alligator or the croc or whatever it is on the bottom. That one's pretty good. Also, you got A View to a Kill is a pretty bad one where he's on the bridge there.
Yeah, that one I remember very well because that was the only Bond movie we had in my house. Actually, we had a VHS of that.
Wow, and somehow you still managed to be a fan. Good
I
for
know,
you.
basically the worst one until Die Another Day.
Yeah. But I like that. I like those Blu-rays, and if they do, I'm sure at some point these will get upgraded to 4K. I'm sure they'll do a box set sort of thing, but I wouldn't mind individual releases exactly like this. Maybe just change, pick a different image from the movie. Just pick another random image. Doesn't matter. What they should do. This would be the best. Pick whatever the image, the screen capture at 21 minutes and 54 seconds in every movie, and put that on the image of the artwork. Like that. That's where the consistency is. It's that moment in every single movie, and that's what you get. I'd like that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think it's very appropriate that you mentioned like a comparison to a stand-up comic bombing consistently. It's like we're not here to knock your socks off. We're just here to do what we do, and if we do it long enough, you'll appreciate it. And clearly, it worked out. But yeah, that is it's simple, but it's cozy. It works. You're absolutely right.
I mean, the only issue, of course, is that I would not sort these together on the shelf, so you get a bit of an issue there. But if you want to go that route, feel free. You can do whatever you want. But I separate them alphabetically. So
okay, yeah. Brad and I have debates back and forth. Well, not. It's more just you chastising me about my organization technique. But yeah, everybody has their own system.
Yeah. Well, you got the box, so you don't need to worry about it.
And hopefully Brad doesn't have an aneurysm or something when he gets a close-up of my shelf someday. I'll just be like, it's all out of order. That shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I suppose the ball is to me. And it's funny, I'm noticing, I'm not going to talk about it right now because I want to change things up. But I have noticed that a stunning number of my picks involve just people's faces. Just like a face as the cover, and it's like, I didn't actually intend to do that, but it's interesting that it recurs so often. But I'm picking this one because I think it's a compelling image. Actually, compositionally, now that I look at it, I think it's objectively good, but it's like one of those things. It's a cover that draws you in, but it's not loud. It's pretty subtle. But anyway, I have here. With the exception of those documentaries I talked about, I guess we're just talking about Japanese movies today. I have here The Resurrection of Golden Wolf. Yomigairu Kinro. Starring Yusaku Matsuda and his abs. And Sonny Chiba has a small role in it. But this is very much a Yusaku Matsuda headlined film. I sought this movie out, and this is actually an official Western release. This is a region 1 from who put this out? Adness. I know. Sure.
News to me.
Yeah, or Ventura maybe. Either way, it's not a big distribution house, but I have seen them put out other Japanese films in the past. But I sought this movie out because I was really keen on this guy, on this actor. Also when I was in college. And I was really interested to check out more of his work. Because my first exposure to him came in the form of the video game Onimusha 2. Are you familiar with Onimusha at all, Brad?
I don't think so.
Okay, it was a PS2 era franchise from Capcom. So some of the same people who worked on Resident Evil, but in the PS2 era, and it's an awesome concept. It's like why did we dump this franchise? It prints money. It just prints money. Onimusha is basically feudal Japan, so samurai versus demons and zombies. So it's like Resident Evil, but you have a katana and instead of a gun.
Yeah, that's fun.
And they really play up the horror element. And it's gory fucking action game. They're all good. And then on top of that, they actually kind of were winking at you with the game design by, it was an early example of having like actual celebrities in a game. So the first one had Takeshi Kitano, who's a Japanese Chinese actor. He works in both regions and multiple languages. They brought Jean Reno in for the third one because he's very popular in Japan. And then for the second one, Yusaku Matsuda was he was the protagonist in the game. Now, what's weird about that is that this fella died in the 80s, and the PS2 was not around in the 80s. So they Grand Moff Tarkined him into the game.
Wow. They were even doing that back then.
They were even doing that back then. But that just shows how fucking cool this guy was, that they felt the need to contact his estate, basically, and obtain the right to use his likeness. And yeah, he plays the protagonist in Onimusha 2. He was an absolutely incredible actor. He had I think the phrase in Japanese, it's a word, shibumi, which is basically like, it's like cold, like, yeah, it's like cold, distant coolness, where it's just like being cool without trying.
Yeah.
And he just had that in spades. He was just a cool fucking dude. And on top of that, he was like mixed ethnic heritage. I think he was part Korean. He moonlighted as a boxer and an actor. He had a really successful detective television series in the 70s. And I finally got around to seeing him in a starring role in a film in college called Family Game, Kazoku Geimu. And he was absolutely incredible in that. When he slaps that kid, I was like, yeah, that's some of that acting shit right there. But this movie, I sought out on my own. I actually watched Family Game for class. But this one, I sought out on my own because if you look up a trailer for this shit, Brad, it's just like, that is the coolest human being that has ever been. It's like, he's got a big fucking wiry Japanese afro. He's running around in like a fucking biker suit. We have just random shots of him hitting a heavy bag intercut into the action. There's a scene where he's like eating a mango and banging a chick at the same time. Oh yeah, and he's smoking at the same time. It's like, this is the coolest human being that has ever been. So I was like, I must see this film. It doesn't even matter if it's good. I just want to see it. So I watched it. It's fine. it's fine. He's awesome in it, but it's very much like a, I don't know, it's a performance movie where it's just like Joaquin Phoenix and Joker, where it's like, movies, it's fine, but that performance is pretty fucking awesome.
He's the reason to watch it.
Yeah, no, he is absolutely the reason to watch this film. The soundtrack is it's a banger. It's late 70s or early 80s Japanese disco. It's the theme song in particular is kick fucking ass. Like if I wanted a theme song that I could play driving up and down the street, like that would be my theme song. When I was in college, I used to blast the theme of Jason the Argonauts out my window. You should look that up, Fred, just so you have an idea of what that actually sounds like, how fucking dorky that is. But
yeah.
But yeah, I think this cover is striking. Just because he as an individual is striking, but just like the composition with the lighting and then the background looking like a target range or something. And even the title, it's just like, I don't fucking know what that means. I still don't fucking know what that means, and I've seen the movie. But yeah, I'm really happy I sought this one out because he's one of those guys that he was special. He had kind of some of that like James Dean energy to him or something.
Yeah.
His last film was Black Rain, the Ridley Scott film. He passed away, okay, I think, at the tail end of production. He completed his role, but he like had, I think it was gallbladder cancer. And okay, he was thin and in a lot of pain on the set, but flawlessly cool, just like effortlessly cool. He kept showing up, much like Raul Julia in Street Fighter. He just kept showing up anyway, even though his health was declining.
Was he fairly young at the time?
Not like super tragically young, but I think he was no later than his early 40s.
Yeah,
he was pretty young, and it was his first English language film, so it was a really big deal because like for Japanese actors, like especially in that era, in I think it was the late 80s, that was not something that you got. There weren't many gigs on offer, so it was very special to him. There's a reason why he kept showing up to set. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's a Ridley Scott movie. like, and you know, it's a chance for a Japanese actor to work in a English language Hollywood film directed by a guy who's still cranking out bangers.
Yeah. Yeah. So this guy, his main era, like he was kind of like in the 80s. Is that?
Yeah. I think he came to prominence in the early 70s. He had a TV show called Tante Monogatari, so like detective story, basically. I think that was the early 70s, and then this movie was like 79 or 80 on the nose, and yeah, he was largely active in those decades.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's I don't think I've ever heard of him. So,
I mean, if you just want to see a cool dude be awesome, like just look him up. Like Family Game in particular is a stellar film, like absolutely awesome. It's one of those movies that I don't own because it's actually good. I don't watch good movies. That one I had to watch for school.
Yeah.
But I will say this much: it's very, very good, and he's excellent in it. Like I said, when he hits that kid, man, I was like, sold. I like this guy.
Just I just want to say, so you don't get any trouble legally. Let's just put this out there. Please, nobody take that clip of you saying when he hit that kid, sold, and use it in any other sort of context.
I'm looking at you, Brad. Don't you dare put that on your soundboard.
Don't worry. That's a tough one to work into usual rotation.
But yeah, this is just an example of what I thought was a very compelling cover.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it doesn't give you a whole lot of information, but just the image itself, it's like I'm curious after looking at that. But on top of that, though, it also serves as an example of a film and a person in the film industry that every once in a while I just kind of decide to explore more of their work. So I'm curious, like if you have any people like that, like any actors or directors that you just like decide one day, it's like, I think I'm going to do a deep dive on that guy or that gal.
Yeah, I mean, it happens quite a bit with me. Like a lot with directors. Like I kind of watch in waves where I will like take a director who I haven't really seen many of his films, and over the course of several weeks or months, kind of just go through and work through their filmography. Like I don't do too often. Like, I mean, I guess it does happen, but like watching just like one random, like a director I've never seen, and just pick like one random film from their filmography and watch it. Like usually, if I'm gonna like, okay, I guess my most recent would be Lucio Fulci, where it's like I'd never really seen any Fulci films, and I was like, let's do it. We're like everyone that is on a readily available on Blu-ray or on Shudder, I'm going through them all, watching them all, and so it's kind of one way that I've kind of done it.
Yeah, that's cool. I had my Fulci kick, and also again around college time, I was like, maybe I Googled eye trauma or something, and it took me to Fulci Town.
Yeah, that's the place to go if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can make a transition if you. I mean, this is a pretty good transition. I mean, actually,
Absolutely.
It's pretty bad transition if you ask me. Speaking of actors who have tragically passed away,
Speaking about dead people, I mean, hey, we had Golden Dead Girls, we had Cancer Guy. We as well keep it rolling.
Yeah. Well, let's move into somebody who tragically died of a drug overdose, and it's my favorite actor, certainly of a certain generation, maybe of all time, Philip Seymour Hoffman in The Master with Joaquin Phoenix and Amy Adams. Love Philip Seymour Hoffman. That was a death where like really hit me. Like, it's like I remember where I was. I was driving, and my friend was in the car, and our friend knew I was in a real Hoffman kick at the time. We had a group of friends, and it was February, I believe, when he died. It was the night of the Super Bowl. Like I'm telling you, man, it's just like I remember it all. We had done a thing where we would do Secret Santa with our friends, and I can't remember if it was that previous Christmas or the one before, but one year I did a thing where I'm like, whoever I get for Secret Santa, they're getting a movie from this actor, and I'm going to pair it with the person's personality. So one year I did Jeff Daniels, and the other year I did Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'm like, I'll find the Philip Seymour Hoffman movie that pairs with the person I get. I'm like, so somebody's getting a Philip Seymour Hoffman movie, somebody's getting a Jeff Daniels movie. So, if it's somebody who's like goofy and a lot of fun for the Jeff Daniels, they'd get Dumb and Dumber. If they were like, somebody who's a little more, just like a nice, emotional, sensitive person, Fly Away Home, like that kind of thing. So, I was pretty firmly planted as a fan of Philip Seymour Hoffman when he was the 2 years that I did that gag. He was one of the ones I chose. But yeah, I mean, The Master, probably his last like really great performance and really great film. I think Joaquin Phoenix is the stronger performance in the movie. But I mean, what I love about this cover artwork is it's creative with the whole like Rorschach test sort of thing going on here, but it also has basically everything you need in the movie here. You got the 3 actors, boom, 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 filmed by Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, that's it. That's the selling point. You don't need to know anything more. And that's pretty much all you need to know. But yeah, I do love The Master. It's one that I've always really liked. It took me a little while to. It's a movie you gotta watch a few times to really kind of take everything in, because it's not an easy one to wrap your mind around what it's trying to get at, because it's getting at a lot of different things. But I've always found it very compelling. Also holds a bit of a special place in my heart because it's the first movie I ever saw in theaters by myself. And, I think it was freshman year of college, and this movie came out, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know anybody who wants to go see this with me. How am I going to sell this movie to, these people who are partying in the dorms? Hey, you want to go watch The Master? What the hell's that? So I went by myself, and it changed my life. So, yeah, I love The Master, and I'm a big fan of Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he's an actor who, every once in a while it's kind of like popping another one of his movies, and I haven't seen all his films, but almost always you watch something with him, and he's so great in it, even like the smallest roles. So it's kind of thing where I don't want to watch all of his movies because I want to keep holding on to those little treats, and it's always nice to get a new one every once in a while. But yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, you've mentioned it before. I'm not sure if it was on this particular program, but you spoke incredibly highly of it, such that I think you said it was like, is it your favorite PTA movie?
No. I mean, I was probably gushing about it, but for PTA, that still is like his 5th best film or something.
Well, it's also timely you bring it up, though, because Licorice Pizza is, I think, is it like wide release yet?
Not yet.
Yeah.
But of course, that one, I don't know if it stars as Philip Seymour Hoffman's son.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, very very timely that we bring that up. But yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson's just one of those guys. It's just like, man, talent is a thing, and he's got it.
Yeah,
he's an incredible filmmaker. Like Magnolia, from an editing standpoint, I was just like, this is like big brain shit. Like like this is some next level big brain editing shit going on here. That's like, how the fuck did you manage to string all that together, make it that long, and yet I was never once bored or confused? Like that, it was masterclass kind of shit. And then of course, you and I both talked about Boogie Nights. It's just like, I don't know why this movie is so fucking watchable. It deals with some of the scuzziest shit you can imagine, and yet I've seen it a million times, and anytime it's on, I'll watch it again. Yeah, I have yet to see The Master, though, and it's funny because you said it was like a special experience, and that it was the first time you went to a theater alone. My first theater trip alone was Snake Eyes.
Oh, really?
Starring Henry Golding.
Well, they can't all be winners.
Yeah. But it's also interesting because I actually had like an acquaintance invite me out to go see The Master when it was in theaters, and that person ended up being a flake, so that never happened. And as of yet, I have not seen that movie. So if that person hadn't flaked on me, maybe I would have seen a really, really awesome movie that would have set me down to a different path. Maybe that would have gotten me to, invest in good movies instead of Bloodsport 1-4 and Undisputed 1-4. But it is what it is.
But, yeah.
But no, I really need to see the master because, like you said, the performances in it from both of those folks. Oh yeah, by the way, Amy Adams is there too. I'm sure she's great on top of that. So you have a fantastic director along with two incredible performers at the very least. I really need to see that movie, especially because I have obvious appreciation for the director. And Philip Seymour Hoffman is just a very special talent. Like he could do anything. Like he could be utterly hilarious, like Boogie Nights. Could be so dopey and fucking hilarious, like just like effortlessly hilarious and pathetic. But then he could do like even in a movie that doesn't really call for a lot of acting ability, like Mission Impossible 3. It's like, whoa, he's trying. Nobody asked him to, but he showed up. Like what the fuck is this guy doing here? And then like Twister is like, what the fuck is this? Like he's amazing in that. He's absolutely hilarious. And like, what was it? Along Came Polly, I think.
Yeah.
He's fucking hilarious in that, and he can do anything. In fact, we did a month on Catching Up on Cinema called Moving On March. It was an entire month dedicated to watching films featuring people who had passed away, many of whom had passed away fairly recently. And we ended up spotlighting him with Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. And that's a performance film. Like, there's a lot on offer there, but he is probably the standout amongst that really stellar cast.
He's just great as that like sleazy guy on the edge.
Worst human being you can imagine.
Oh, he's so good in that.
No, he's amazing. He's a terrific performer, and it sounds like The Master is a really incredible film that I really ought to get around to watching.
I mean, for a guy who really was only working prolifically for about 20 years or so, I mean, he made a lot of great movies and a lot of great performances, and part of it goes to show like his ability as an actor. Like he got he got so many great directors casting him in their films. Like, I mean, you don't work with Paul Thomas Anderson that many times unless you're good. I'm sorry.
I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, and that also maybe suggests that he was not easy to work with, but he could find the right rhythm to work with those people, because as we talked about with Ruby Rose, if you're difficult to work with in the wrong way, people don't want to work with you again. They just move on. But if you show value and you show that you're able to communicate and find the right rhythm with those creators, then clearly he had some stuff going for him outside of his acting ability. But it's really unfortunate that he passed, though, because he obviously had so much to offer. Like, could do anything, like any role. Like, would have been. I wonder what he would do in the MCU, Brad.
He didn't live to see the day when movies died. So I guess if there's any bright side,
maybe the time was right before Disney came a calling.
I think one time where I was like just sad was, I think it was the third Transformers movie had John Malkovich and Frances McDormand in it.
Yeah, that is the weirdest thing. Like, I don't know where that comes from, that Michael Bay is so keen on like recruiting all the Coen brothers people. Like all of them. Like Steve Buscemi, Peter Stormare, like Frances McDormand, like everybody in the pool. Everybody. Like he didn't get Jeff Bridges or John Goodman out. No, he did get John Goodman.
I was gonna say I don't.
He did.
Where at?
He did. Transformers 4 and 5. He does a voice on one of the Autobots.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the one with the big gut and the beard.
That's right.
I think he's on a mission to get literally all of the Coens' people.
Yeah. Well, now that the Coens have broken up, there's at least there's an end date. Unless he's going to go after all there's the individual movies. Maybe, I don't know.
It's just the most baffling thing. It's just like, why? But it's funny because like I bring this up from time to time about acting, that like sometimes you'll hear people be like critical of like some of Robert De Niro's more recent offerings, and like Meryl Streep doing like more family oriented films and stuff. It's like, you need to understand though that acting is a transformative experience, and for people that have been doing this job for this long, sometimes doing the thing that they haven't done, even if they do it badly in a shitty movie, is enough to get them interested in doing that.
Yeah.
So, like, seeing those people act out of character and do these shitty family movies or whatever, it's like, that's actually more interesting for them on a personal level. So maybe the Coen brothers' cast actually enjoy making fucking idiots of themselves in the Transformers movie because they're never asked to do that. Like, maybe Frances McDormand enjoyed being in Transformers 3. Who knows?
Be.
She enjoyed the paycheck. That's true. I know that much.
That's the heart of the matter there, yeah.
And John Turturro, I'm sure, enjoyed a free trip to Cuba because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the only reason he accepted that last gig in the Transformers movies, is just so they could film like 2 shots of him at a phone booth in Cuba, just because I think the embargo had been lifted and they could. So it's like, we have unlimited money. I want to put a camera down in Cuba just so I can go to Cuba. John Turturro, get in the boat. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Brad, would you like me to go one more time, or are you about tapped out?
You can go one more.
Okay.
I think I'll call it for mine, but you can throw one more down.
Okay. Well, being as I had mentioned it previously, I actually didn't really care to talk about this, but faces. I had mentioned faces as a recurring thing in the picks that I have here. So there are far too many of these, so I'm just going to rattle them off real quick. This is like a speed round of sorts, I guess, prior to the actual speed round. So I have here... oh, by the way, I misspoke earlier. Takeshi Kitano is Beat Takeshi, who is, of course, a Japanese actor and film director. Takeshi's Castle. Most Extreme Challenge or whatever. That's a different person than the person who is in Onimusha. The fella in Onimusha is Takeshi Kaneshiro. So
okay.
2 different Takeshis. Anyway, it just popped into my head. I was like, I think that was the wrong K last name. It has a K, but it's the wrong K. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway, so these are covers that I found provocative in some fashion, and they involve close-ups of people's faces. So we have here Takashi Miike's Ichi the Killer, Koroshiya Ichi, featuring Japanese Brad Pitt, Tadanobu Asano, and also the Well Go recent Blu-ray release, which is like a digital painted version of the same cover art.
Yeah.
I think I prefer the photo, honestly, but the HD upgrade is worth it.
Yeah.
And more Japanese shit. It's that kind of day, Brad. I'm sorry. So I have a absolutely beat to shit DVD release of MD Geist, which this cover art, there was a VHS of this at my local Blockbuster growing up. I'm sorry, Brad. When you're a boy who's into Transformers and you're like, I don't know, 7 years old, and you see fucking this on the shelf, you're just like, Mom. Like, I'm sorry. This is complete crap. Brad, I have threatened Kyle with this movie so many fucking times because it sucks. But this just look at it. Look at it. He's like a Black Knight and a football player in one, mixed with heavy metal and shit.
From a distance, I was getting some heavy football vibes, but up close, I can see it a little better. Yeah.
Yeah, but it comes in one of these really shitty like paper/cardboard releases with the clamshell clasp thing, and it even has like the silver disc. But look at the guts.
Oh,
look at the guts.
Okay,
that was on the back of the VHS for the sequel. But yeah, this cover again, close up of a face. Always thought, like as a kid, just seeing this, I was just like, I must see this. And then you watch it, and you're just like, that fucking sucked. But I was really young, so I wasn't using the F word yet. I have 2 different releases from the same director. More Japanese shit. So we have a Western release from Tokyo Shock of Mechanical Violator, Hakaider. And I absolutely adore this cover.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I actually have a photo book of the featuring production notes and like design materials for this movie, and I always have loved the lighting and the costume design. It's really awesome looking. Simple too.
Mm-hmm.
And then similar but different perspective, Mirai Ninja, which translates to Future Ninja, from the same director, which is Keita Amemiya, who is fucking amazing. And just for novelty, I have a video CD, Brad. The only video CD I have. I'm sure you have none of these, because if you can't stomach DVD, you most assuredly cannot stomach a VCD.
Yeah.
So this is of Crying Fist, which is a film that we actually talked about on Catching Up on Cinema. I actually went out of my way to obtain a actual DVD of this film for that review, because this video CD has terrible subtitles, and Kyle is a stickler for visual fidelity as well. He would not have been able to watch this whole movie. Like, he would have just choked me through the fucking internet. He'd just be like, Trevor, you gotta upgrade that shit. But I've always loved this cover. It's a Choi Min-sik, Old Boy.
Mm-hmm.
I forget, is it Ryu Sung-boom, maybe? Anyway, favorite Korean director, Ryu Sung-won. And this is a movie about boxing, which is very near and dear to my heart. And I've always just loved this cover art, because it's our two leading men, and they look very jolly, even though they look beat to shit on top of that.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah. Then we have a Hong Kong release of Shamo, which I've always thought this was a striking-ass cover.
Yeah.
The font, the calligraphy, the color arrangement, the bloodshot eye in particular is really striking. This is a movie about it's like kickboxing or MMA, but it's based on a Japanese manga, but it's a Chinese film. It's a fun watch, actually. It's not highbrow cinema by any means, but it's Sean Yu, I think, is the main actor in it. I was kind of interested in him for a minute there, but I think he quit. But yeah, I've always liked the composition, the color arrangement of this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, that's a lot of fucking faces. I'm sorry.
Hey, there's some good looking faces in there, so no worries.
Yeah, it's been a lot of that tonight. Okay, Brad. Well, did you want to advance to the speed round?
Yeah, I honestly don't have many to list off here, but I'll just go real quick.
Take a swing.
I've only got two more here. But speaking of Coen brothers, I've got Fargo, which obviously the iconic image of the body in the snow. This one actually, I don't know if you can tell, but it's like knitted. Like, it's made to look like it's knitted, which is pretty nice.
Oh, that's adorable.
That's
like
cool.
That.
Yeah, I also I think Shout Factory put out another Blu-ray of Fargo, and it's like the car crash and the nighttime snow. It's a pretty good image. I like that one. And this last one here, where am I going here? Let me pull out another version of it for comparison, if I can find it here. We're reaching back. Okay, we got it. So, you think of The Exorcist. I mean, have you seen The Exorcist? I guess I should ask.
Oh, yeah.
What's the iconic image that comes to mind?
Man looking up at street lamp or whatever. Or illuminated by street lamp looking up at a house.
Of course, which is a great image. Iconic. But, it's a little too obvious. I don't go that road. It's a little too, we've seen it. We've been there. We need to make something else from that movie iconic. So that's why, this Exorcist complete anthology, it's a little inspired. I'm not a big fan. It's just, it's that image.
I don't like the it's not the stroke, but like the glow on the font.
Yeah,
it looks cheap in that way.
Yeah.
Combined with the Blu-ray banner on the top. I know they have to do that, but it ruins the image, honestly.
Not a fan. I agree. Not a fan. Nice set, but just not a fan. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. What I will say,
I got this perfectly awesome cover of a bowl of split pea soup. It's so much better.
Not quite that. We're not quite going there, but this release, which I actually don't think this version has the extended cut, or maybe it does. Okay, it does. So this is just I own 2 versions of it basically, but I owned this version first, which was just the first Exorcist film, and it was the director's cut and the theatrical version, and I like this artwork. I like this. Just an image of the stairs.
Ooh,
I like that. I like this.
That's tight. I like that.
It's honestly, it's like just that image of the stairway. Kind of spooky. Like, it's just so like understated, and I don't know, there's something about it.
And you can see the street lamp too.
You can, yeah.
Like, but
yep.
No, the composition of that, the placement of the title, and the shot composition of the staircase, that's really awesome. That almost, like, actually when you held it up, I thought it was a book cover at first.
Yeah.
But either way, it's a really compelling image, even separated from the property, like even separated from what it is. Like, if you see that, that's interesting. Like, that looks great.
Yeah. And I know, like, the stairs are somewhat iconic from that movie, especially if you're a fan. But I think if you go up to the average person and you started going off about the Exorcist stairs, I'd say maybe like 40% of people would know what you're talking about. Maybe. I mean, but obviously, yeah, this image is the one that everybody would think of. The stairs are a little bit of a deeper cut, not the deepest cut, but I like it. I like that, and I think it's a good choice for this version, which is kind of, why I partly. Well, I also didn't know that this has everything in, but whatever. I've got both.
Well, hey, it's not the worst movie to own twice, honestly.
No, not at all.
Not at all. But these days, I hate to say it, but I bet all the kids think of it as the Joker stairs or something instead. Yeah. Unfortunate, but likely true.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really snazzy cover. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, well, I'll try to be quick then. So I'm just going to rattle these guys off here. So these are some compelling covers, I thought. So we have Hideaki Anno's Shin Gojira, which is minimalist with the embossing.
That's
awesome.
Part of the reason I bought it.
It's fucking awesome, and it's actually an incredibly good movie on top of that. It worked out. I have one film from a trilogy of Sonny Chiba films, Karate Bullfighter, which features a painted image of Sonny Chiba braining a fucking bull with his bare fucking hands. These movies are all fun.
That is compelling. That is compelling. I'll give you that.
Yeah, they what's this? Adnus is back. And Ventura. Adnus and Ventura. So same people that did the Resurrection of Golden Wolf. Around the time Kill Bill was coming out, they started churning out Sonny Chiba's old 1970s catalog of films on DVD. And these are very handsome packages, by the way. Handsome DVDs. And I was just gobbling this shit up when I was in high school. Like, Sonny Chiba was my guy. My brother always thought he was just the lame Japanese equivalent to Bruce Lee, like a Bruce Lee imitation. He kind of was, but I thought he was cool. Fuck off. And I'm actually kind of surprised I haven't shown this off on previous episodes, because this is not an amazing film. I've seen it exactly one time. I barely fucking remember this, but when I was in college, I was importing movies like crazy, as evidenced by pretty much all the movies I've talked about today, most of which came from that era of my collecting habit. This movie, I don't remember it at all, but I just stumbled across it on the website Yes Asia, which is kind of my go-to for purchasing import movies. And this is one of the most handsome packages I have on my wall. Like, this is one of the most awesome boxes I have. And I don't even remember the fucking movie. So this is a Korean film, and this is Region 3, which explains why I've only watched it once. I've only been capable of watching it once. And here's the front cover.
Ooh, wow, that is nice.
And it's got gold highlights. It's all sorts. It has like a crusty paper texture to it.
Yeah.
And this is MC Mong, who in the early 2000s was a really popular rap artist in Korea. He kind of got blacklisted, though, because he declined his mandatory military service. So he was really awesome. Like, if you look up his music, he was a really awesome singer and musician. But we don't talk about him anymore because the Korean government got pissed at him. But yeah, this movie, I think it's pronounced like Dukbang or Dudukbang. But it's I think it translates to either like three fellas or like river legend or something, but it's just about like three dudes who were badasses in high school who try to be badasses like amongst gangsters and stuff. And like the big finale of it is like a bunch of like Korean mafia types like beating the shit out of teenagers in a river with their bare hands. But yeah, this thing includes like a short movie like that was like a trial run of the feature. It has the feature. It has like a whole fucking book about the production details, and it was like the same price as like the normal retail version of it. So I was just like, sure, I'll get that awesome box.
Yeah.
That's a really awesome cover. It's just like, you know, you're in college, you're hanging out with your friends. It's like, I wish we looked like that. We never actually did, but we tried. Yeah. And I have an Australian Blu-ray, Top Knot Detective, which is very loud and very, 1980s or late 1970s Japanese style. I've talked about that before on the show. It's a fake documentary about a non-existent television series, kind of like a Spinal Tap, I guess.
Okay.
It's hilarious. It's made with a lot of love. It wouldn't be a talk with Trevor without mention of Scott Adkins. Have Triple Threat, which is much like I mentioned about John Wick 4, basically Me the movie, where it's just like, this is a list of people that Brad, I'm sure, like, can you tell me if you recognize any of these names? Or at least...
Tony Jaa, I know. Is that Iku...
Uwais from the Raid.
Is that the
films.
Raid guy, right?
Yep.
Scott Adkins. I'm not making out any other ones.
Michael
Jai White.
Yeah, Michael Jai White and Michael Bisping, who is a former UFC fighter from the UK. This is a Jesse V. Johnson movie. He's made like probably a dozen movies with Scott Adkins at this point. He's his muse. But yeah, this was a big deal for me. I actually saw this one night only in theaters with my brother and some other folks. It's exactly what I wanted. Like, it's not great. It's no one's best work. Like, there's a lot of talent in the film. It's no one's best work, but it's very satisfying if you're into that sort of thing. Psycho Goreman, because Psycho Goreman. Rurouni Kenshin. I think this is Kyoto Inferno. I actually have a full-sized poster of it at an angle that you can't quite see.
Okay, yeah.
This version of it doesn't look nearly as good, but the full-size version of it is... it's like blockbuster cinema at its best. Robot jocks! Because look at this shit. Again, Brad, like, imagine you're like 7 years old, you're walking up and down the aisles at the grocery store, and you see fucking robot jocks. And you're just like, Mom, I know what we have to watch tonight. I probably saw this movie too young. It opens with a man being stepped on by a giant robot. It was very dramatic.
Oh, nice.
Karate Kill, which has some of that like Scream or Shout Factory style, very loud cover art style. I assure you this movie is nowhere near as awesome as this cover is. It's kind of a shame, too, because I was really hyped about the lead actor in it. I think he goes by Hayate. He was kind of being billed as like the next big thing in Japanese martial arts cinema. He's okay. The movie sucks. Jinro! We did a full episode on this, surprisingly. I actually got Kyle to watch an animated film. It doesn't happen all the time, but I've always thought this poster / cover is absolutely gorgeous. I actually prefer it without the woman. The soldier on the moon, I think, is the actual poster, but for the Western DVD release, they slapped her on there. But this is just infinitely compelling. Just the composition of it, the colors, the red eyes.
That's cool.
And China doing our thing, like basically taking the MCU style of poster art and applying it to one of their generic action films. Like, tell me if I'm wrong, Brad. The Brink.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Just faces. Just everybody we got.
Yeah.
This movie is not very good. But this cover is fucking ballistic. Like it really jumps out at you. But yeah, unfortunately, the movie was nowhere near as good as I didn't expect that much, because like the fellow with the blonde hair is Max Zhang. I think he was like Michelle Yeoh's stunt double at one point.
Oh.
Yeah. And they actually did a movie where they got to do a scene opposite each other. It was a movie headlined by him called Master Z, which is a spin-off of Donnie Yen's Ip Man movies, and he was the villain in Ip Man 3. He had a moment where I think like Hong Kong cinema was trying to make him like the next big thing. He just doesn't quite have it. Like, he's good, like he's got the moves, it's just there's just something missing. He just doesn't have that special something or other. But this was kind of like an early attempt at like showcasing him as a talent, and it just didn't really work. And last one here, I have 2 releases of the same film. Have the Western cover art for City of Violence, which is same director as Crying Fist, Ryu Sang-won. This is maybe my very favorite Korean movie. Talk about covers that it's like, why can't me and my friends look like that?
Yeah, right.
Like, this movie was very special to me in college. Me and my roommate would watch it and just like obsess about the visual flair of it, because like from a like choreography and editing standpoint, and even the cinematography, it's like that is a handsome fucking movie. But I think the Korean special edition box here that I have, which is foreign region, which explains why I went on my way to buy this guy. I think this composition works better. Same movie, similar cover.
I like that better.
It just works better if you ask me.
Yeah.
And yeah, this movie is very, very special to me. I'm really excited to rewatch it again sometime soon, because I talk about all the fucking time, but I only just recently picked up that American Blu-ray like last month or something.
Oh, nice.
When I was on the hunt for fucking Fearless. Like, I don't know if I mentioned that on that episode, but when I was recording that episode of Jet Li's Fearless with my buddy Sean Parker, I went everywhere. I drove all over fucking town looking for that Blu-ray, because like the day before I recorded, I discovered that there's a director's cut of that movie, and I was like, well, I guess I gotta watch it, just in case he ends up watching a different version of the movie than me. I couldn't find it. But on my journey, I picked up all sorts of shitty-ass kung fu movies and stuff all over town, and that was one of them. Although that one's not shitty. But
hey, well, then it wasn't a wasted trip. That's the good news.
It wasn't. I had fun running around in the Seattle rain looking for a Jet Li movie that I already own. Because I'm a fucking idiot. That's what I do instead of hang out with my girlfriend. I go driving around looking for shitty martial arts movies.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, that's it. There's no more. That's all.
Yeah, some good picks there, man.
Yeah. No, this one was a hasty arrangement, but I want to say we did a bang up job, Brad. So
that was fun.
Yeah, thanks for poking me about recording tonight. This worked out really well. I'm always happy to have you on the show, so thanks for helping out as always.
Yeah, of course.
But before we go, Brad, if you could please let the folks at home know where they can find you and your super fucking awesome podcast and YouTube channel, that would be really awesome.
Oh, well, thank you for that compliment. I appreciate that. It's the Cinema Speak podcast. We're on, Twitter at the Cinema Speak. We're on iTunes as Cinema Speak Podcast. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you listen to shows. Also, we have our YouTube channel. It's just YouTube. Search for Cinema Speak, and also on the web at cinemaspeak.libsyn.com.
Yeah, thanks so much for the plug there, Brad. Appreciate it. That was very smooth. Not like when I usually do it, but I'm curious, what's on the docket for the next video?
I actually have a recorded review of my Arrow 4K of The Hills Have Eyes. I'm in the process of editing it, so I don't know when it will be posted. Just a busy time of the year.
Yeah, no joke, man. I've had a packed calendar. Like, I have a calendar. This is very foreign to me, which leads to us recording very hastily to get all this shit done. But
yeah, we got it in.
And we got it done. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about that, because I don't have many Arrow releases, but I want to say they have a very good reputation, and I've never watched one of their 4Ks before, so I'm curious what you have to say about that one.
Yeah, might be controversial. We'll see.
Awesome. The algorithm loves that, Brad.
Don't even remember what I said, to be honest with you, so it'll be a surprise for me as well.
Well, perfect. That'll be fun for everybody then. But yeah, folks at home, if you'd like to catch up on any of our Catching Up on Cinema content, you can find all of that located on our website at CatchingUpOnCinema.com. We're also available on the social medias in the form of an Instagram at CatchingUpOnCinema, as well as the Twitter at CatchingCinema, so feel free to hit me up at either of those. And the podcast is available on pretty much every platform you can imagine, including Cephalopod, so fucking Google it. And that being said, thanks so much for listening and or watching, hopefully watching, who knows, and we will catch you next time!